Hey there, I'm Mazzy, and this is Michael. And those of you who are watching this, you're either watching it on my channel, Norman Maslov, in the vinyl community, or 45 RPM, Michael in Dusseldorf, Germany. I'm in Seattle, Washington, on the west coast of the United States. This is a video that we discussed, Michael and I have been talking about ad nauseum, and it's about selling out. Audiophile label selling out. Now, it's sort of a double entendre in a way when we discuss this about selling out. Are they selling out just putting out all the crap they want and doing the cash grab stuff? And we can talk a little bit about that. Or, I mean, a lot of these are actually great records and limited editions, and how things literally, like in the last year, 2 years, have changed, where things are selling out before people even know they're available in so many ways. So it's appropriate right now because we're recording this in May 1st of 2021, and we just celebrated actually a release of the Who's selling out, which is a whole other thing, and it's not part of this conversation, not an audiophile, but I just got that package, and it's really interesting, I think, about selling out and how we perceive selling out as an artist, selling out as a label, and just literally physically selling out a product. And because we're in this time where pressing plants are at their full capacity, it's really hard to get in and to repress things. Something may come out in a tone poet. Tone poets are actually theoretically always in print, at least for the time being, but they sell out so fast, you have to wait 6, 8 months, a year, maybe plus, to get in line to repress. And do they repress those or repress new products that we all want? New records. So I think Michael's going to start on this. That's an overview. Do you have anything different to add to that before you? It's more of a conversation,
right? And not different to add. Maybe going a little deeper, because let me just start with the tone poets or the acoustic sound series, The Love Supreme, or the Chet Baker. Although I promised on my channel that I won't show that for a couple of months because I showed it so often.
Everybody shows this record so much because it's probably the most popular and the best.
Yeah.
If you like his voice, not everyone likes his voice.
Yeah, but so why those two editions are such a great example is you talked about the pressing capacities and nowadays and that's how it changed. It changed so much. The labels have to decide, do we keep our schedule or street dates of the announced, for example, tone poets, 2 per month from next month on, or do we skip them behind and repress, for example, the Chet Baker? They can't do both at the moment. Can you imagine?
And that record has been now, a second pressing already has come out. So
yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's gone.
It's gone. Exactly. Exactly.
It's already gone.
And so that's what you say all the time about, if you want it, get it.
Get it. And now, but that's somehow new. It doesn't matter if we are talking about a limited edition. It doesn't matter. Limited edition doesn't count because they are gone and they are fast. They are gone very fast. I think later on, at least on my part, we will talk about actual numbers. What have been pressed 4 years ago and how many do they press nowadays? And this is an unbelievable jump. And still, they are gone. They are gone sometimes under a minute. And I'm not kidding you, under a minute.
And that's a big part of the conversation that I don't know if we want to really dive into that. And you're going to get comments here on both our channels of people saying it's a cash grab. These labels don't know what they're doing. It's really hard to anticipate. But in terms of the audiophile market, which we're kind of concentrating more, but it's not even just that. Things are selling out. And aside from, the jazz market, which we heavily have been talking about with these issues, but even some of the classical records and avant-garde and ambient records, and of course, rock and roll and everything else, People who weren't buying those records, those jazz records, are buying them. We watch YouTube. We have friends. They're buying jazz records who would never have bought a jazz records a year or two or three ago. And they hear this Tone Poet, they hear this, SRX, Music Matters Jazz, whatever it is, and they just jump on it.
Yeah. And they jump on it so quick. Plus, in some cases, we have the problem with really nowadays professional flippers who put up their buying bots and
yeah, and I don't know what the answer is, because I don't want to dive into that too much, but people don't like when all of a sudden organically something is announced. Like when I bought that Third Man Paul McCartney edition of McCartney 333 copies, 333 copies of a recycled Paul McCartney record in the entire planet Earth and solar system.
Even if it's a very bad record.
I bought it because I'm a Beatle collector. Those of you who watch Michael don't know me. I also collect a lot of Beatle stuff, and I just happened to wake up in the morning and saw the Instagram post from Third Man. Now, that's a little, not even a secret. It's like the secret out in the open. Have an Instagram account, even if you're not a social network person, and follow all the labels and all the artists that you like. Follow Music Matters, follow Tone Poet, follow Third Man Records, follow the McCartney, whoever it is. You see the stuff there first. And you talked about sharing press time. All of a sudden, it was just announced, and this is not an audiophile thing, but Billie Eilish has a new album coming out. Literally, was it next month or the month after? Like soon. And I bet you that wasn't necessarily planned. And of course, whatever, is that Universal Music, I think, the UMG, the parent company, they're going to push everything aside to press that Billie Eilish record, because she probably sells more records than anyone on planet Earth. And I happen to like her, actually. And I know a lot of people who don't understand it, like, put it down because they haven't listened to her, maybe.
No, it's a good
one.
But,
the presses only have so much press time, and they're at capacity.
Yeah, and when I talk to people who are in that area, who makes a living from, for example, pressing records, I always say, hey, come on, build more presses. And they say, no, it's really not that easy. You can't say, come on, we double our press, come on. Let's double it. It's not that easy.
No, it's not. They have to, they've refurbished all the old presses they can. Maybe every once in a while they'll find a new one. But it's also the talent of the press people.
Exactly.
And the printing people. That's why, everyone, raves about the Stoughton covers, the pressing plant. There are other pressing plants, but that not many take the time. Of course, a lot of labels don't want to spend the extra money it takes to do this type of tipped on, or these kind of, press jackets or something.
And now you have the second bottleneck. It's not only the pressing plant, it's also the companies who create the jackets. Even for good jackets, nowadays you have to wait 4 to 6 months.
Right.
To get the jackets for your records.
And
this has not so much to do with COVID as we may think. That's
right. And a lot of the people who follow this, there's only so much time in a day for Kevin Gray or Ryan K. Smith or Bernie Grunman. I mean, everybody wants the 3 or 4 or 5 mastering engineers. There's other great mastering engineers, but you get that KG.
It's like in the VC, they probably have Kevin Gray the second, the third, the fourth. Otherwise, it's not possible. It's
he must
always
be
Kevin
like
Gray, Ryan K. Smith.
Kevin Gray must be like the Stephen King of mastering engineers. Stephen King writes a new book every week that comes out. If those of you who know about, he's sitting there like this, typing all the time. When he's asleep, just typing and writing a book. I do want to talk about this, how this has changed just in the last 2 years, because those of you who follow Music Matters Jazz, they're pretty much dormant. It's pretty much just what they have left, unless they surprise us. And people have to understand, and I've said this on our Four Corners videos and videos that I've done, you can't always just print press as many copies as you want to, especially if you're a third-party label like Intervention or Music Matters Jazz or Impex, depending on the licensing. It's all about licensing, and more of the major labels that you license from are taking things back and doing them in-house, or, you know, and don't give Mobile Fidelity an end-all license where you can do as many Bob Dylan or Miles Davis albums as you want. So Music Matters Jazz, I think, had licenses. They only could do about 2,500 and 3,500 of each title in 45 RPM and 33 RPM. And in 2019, they do it at a series of that, almost like super vinyl, they call SRX. And in 2019, they put out 12 records. You know, I have a few of the wrong labels someone's going to point out, but you know, I'm not going to show everyone and talk about the music that much, but these are the 12 records that came out. I mean, a lot of you who know jazz will recognize these labels. Some have since been put out on Blue Note 80, Blue Note Classics, so many others, okay? So these came out and they were released in January of 2019. You could either buy them directly for about $60, or you could buy the entire set of 12 for $699. Well, that makes it $58 a record, almost a bargain now, right? I mean, that's like a bargain.
Not almost, Mezzi, not almost.
Right. These go for $200 to $300 to $400 in some cases, some of them. So
most of them.
I had purchased a few MMJs of 45 prior to this, and they realized the 33 was a popular. So these are special formulated vinyl, SRX. Very quiet vinyl, and I didn't jump in on the SRXs right away. It wasn't until August, 8 months later, that I went in and I think I was reading something on the Hoffman forums about them. I went in and decided, you know, $700 is a lot. I'm working, I'm making some money. I bought them all at once, and it was easy. It wasn't rush. So 8 months later, all these were available. Now, having said that, not every title was available for 8 months because some were selling out, and some people got pissed off saying, hey, if you can sell a whole stack of 12, why can't I buy one? Well, they kept some of the sets intact. They didn't split them up. So, but they didn't sell out. That almost that entire year in 2019, almost, you could buy all the SRXs. Easy, go order it. And they stayed at the same price. Music Matters wasn't doing that price changing things yet.
Do you know how many copies they pressed of the SRX?
I think it was only about 500 or less in some cases, because it was, they only could press how many they had left on their license. 300. Well, I think it varied on the title a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was how many they had left in the license for that particular title.
But Mezzi, imagine we are talking. You remember probably too when the classic series was announced with all the big guns, and everybody said, oh, this will diminish the prices of the SRX. And I remember that at that moment, 6 months ago, they were around $200, and now most of them are up to $400 and more dollars. And we are talking about really important jazz recordings. We are talking about the, for sure, best sounding versions, and there are 300 of them out there in the world. So I say that $400 is still a bargain. I know you think I'm crazy now, but
I'm crazy now.
But even $400 when it comes to the collector's side is still a bargain. We're talking about 300 copies of the most wanted Blue Notes and the, without a doubt, best sounding editions.
And 20, 30, 40 years ago, jazz hardly sold unless it was like a fusion, like a Herbie Hancock Rocket record. Or, I mean, obviously Kind of Blue was a big seller back in the day. And, you know, and there's a lot of examples of records that sold. But, you know, people still, I post my videos and I have got guys writing tweakers in my comments, you know, stop showing all that jazz, show more Beatles or something. It's a different thing. And that brings us, you know, this was the big thing that a lot of people that people loved and got pissed off. And this is small batch series, and this was done by Kraft.
Wow.
Talk about these a little bit, Michael.
Yeah, I think I know I really say what I think. Now I say what I thought from the beginning. If those people who did this edition work for me, I would have fired them immediately. Why? Because we are talking about a series. They want to do every 2 months a small batch edition. With the first editions, let's say the first 1, 2, 3, 4 editions, I built my base. You know, if I have the first 2 or the first 3, and I don't like the fourth that much, I will still buy it because I have all 3. And now they have a base of maximum 1,000 person, probably less due to the flippers. And this is such a stupid move nowadays.
Well, do you think they disanticipated that they, you know, it was a new thing for them to do these limited high-end pressings?
Messy. That means that they know much less than you and me. Then they're on the wrong. Then they have the wrong job, because even if they do 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, they would have sold out within 1, 2, 3 of at 1,000 and at per day. You know, if they do 5,000, they would have sold out in 4 to 5 days.
Now their excuse is that they started out thinking, okay, 1,000 was enough, and it was too late because they had press time for that, and they couldn't really up the presses for the first. And I'm not defending it. I mean, I
get you.
We talk about this. This is a Vinyl Me Please edition. This is not the new Kraft one. I have a copy that I've ordered that is going to Michael actually in Germany, because I don't need to have them all, and I think Michael needs to have extra records to put in his vault in Germany. And it's stuck literally outside of Chicago for 11, 12 days now. It hasn't moved. Media mail in America is screwy. I don't know if I'm going to continue on, and I've been lucky getting these, and of course they sell out in 2 minutes.
2 minutes? No, 20. Because I wanted to know for my channel, after 26 seconds, it was sold out. Messi, 26 seconds.
And theoretically, since Kraft is a division of the parent company, in theory, they could print as many as they want. Now, there's a whole thing about when you're doing a one-step type thing, you only can do so many based on the master and everything, and you can expand it. And I'm not going to get into that detail, but they could do. I mean, we're looking at these tapestry for the Mofi or the whatever the UHQR, whatever.
The one step tapestry is
10,000.
I think 10,000. Yeah, and I think sold out, by the way, on the Mofi website. Sold out, and Pearl also sold out is 7,500. And we are talking about editions where they had their 45 RPMs for years, and they didn't sell them out. It's so crazy right now. And I did a video about them because I think those are boring titles.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
See,
I'm not a one-step person. To me, one record in a box like that, I have no interest in. Yes, it sounds great, but I'm not going to grab a record and open it up. I know you take them out of the box and you file them a different way. It just doesn't interest me. I mean, I think we should talk a little bit about Mofi, because I want to talk about Mofi now, because you have to almost be in the know and be aggressive. Mofi's records, which really irks me a little bit. Those of you who get the Music Direct catalog, they do a big, thick catalog every Christmas season, every winter season. It's really thick. And on the back of the last few, there's a whole big Mofi thing of what's coming out over the next year. And I remember there's two titles in particular that I was interested in. The Young Rascals, Groovin', which is amongst my favorite records, 1967, really great white, blue-eyed soul record, Groovin', love that album, and Nielsen Schmielsen. And to this day, none of them were listed, at least or up till recently, the last month, on the Music Direct website or the Mofi website. Even though that's in the catalog there, if you go to the Mofi site, there's no listing for the Young Rascals record. So I got tipped off on the Hoffman forum. Well, you just got to call them up. Just call, like, okay, so I called Music Direct up. I said, yeah, I saw in your catalog last Christmas, Nielsen and Young Rascals. Can I pre-order it? Ah, sure. So I pre-ordered. This is the original copy. This is not the, but it's just shipping now. So I pre-ordered it about 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, whatever. Okay, I got order coming in last week, or literally within a week, 5 days ago. There was an Instagram post for the Nielsen record by Mobile Fidelity, and Music Direct had it on their, I don't know if they had it on their site. Within like a day or less, both sold out. Wasn't even announced. If you weren't following Mofi on Instagram, I don't even think they sent out an emailer. I think it's sold out. Now maybe they'll find copies. Are they limiting them, selling just at 500 at a time instead of the full 3,000 or 2,500? I don't know the answer to that. But you have to know, like, who in the hell goes to call a label or distributor up to buy something they don't even know if it's out yet? You don't get a promotion out of it.
You know, but that shows another part. Mofi, impacts, intervention, in and out records, speakers corner. Those are, and don't get me wrong here, but those are not big companies. Those are small companies, really small. We all know them, we all love them, but those are not huge companies.
And they seem to be doing it right. And I don't know, I know you've had Shane from, who's in my area. He's up in here in Gig Harbor near Seattle.
Great guy.
Yeah, I have these two Matthew Sweet records from him. 45 RPM, amazing sounding records.
And same here, Messi. Same here. Same goes, by the way, for the Impacts recordings.
Well, I was going to say that too. I mean, I could show these both at the same time. Yeah, here's just two.
Those are not limited editions.
Right. And the reason is, I'm surprised they seem to, and I don't know if Shane would pop in here answering the question if he wants to or not. They're not limited editions. They're not numbered editions. I have no idea how many he's allowed to license. I'm sure he has a maximum, because a label's not going to say, hey, do whatever you want forever. But then again, you know, I don't think Matthew Sweet LPs are selling a lot right now. So he's generating income for the artist and the original label and the licensing. And maybe he has a maximum or a time period. I mean, when I do license the photography as a photo agent, we license the imagery for a specific usage, a specific market, for instance, North America or Europe or English language speaking, and a specific time frame. So that could be, but it's easy to buy these records, and it's kind of a pleasure to hear about. And I suggest anyone out there, go to Intervention and buy these. And
especially the Murray Heat and the Joan Armour trading. Those are also spectacular audiophile remaster.
Right. But there's
or the Impacts, the Frank.
There's no panic. There's no panic in the buying of those. And I don't know, is it because the titles aren't big, but I think they are pretty nice titles. And I know Shane has been literally personally involved and jumped in some of the Hoffman forums on the Intervention thing, and he gets back and forth. He answers questions, and I think there's an upcoming Church album, Starfish, that's coming out. And you know, he's trying to gauge how many to press each time, and we're talking 6, 9, 10 months out. Anything he decides to publish right now won't come out till 2022, you know, and that's just the nature we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and that's another problem. Those smaller labels have more and more and more. I know a German label, and they usually press over at Optimal here in Germany, and they really have to wait several months to do their releases, because nowadays Blue Note does their classic releases over there, and they just have to wait until those are done, and then now I can do your stuff.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
You say this all the time, and again, I keep repeating it. Not everyone has a lot of money to buy all these records, and a good example is now Chad, your buddy Chad Kassem from Acoustic Sounds,
Analog
Productions. We always get those confusing. You know, just announced the next Acoustic Sound series that are part of. They're actually albums licensed from Universal. They're actually like Impulse and things like that. There's a pre-order up now of all the, I don't know, dozen or so, give or take, titles. Now, you don't have to go to their site, because and you don't have to pre-order them all, but look down the list. But look at the list. If there's some you really feel you want to have, pre-order those, even if it's just 1 or 2 titles.
And I even think I'm not 100%, but 90% sure that Acoustic Sounds does something very cool. You can pre-order, but you only have to pay when they ship the records.
Well, what used to be, yeah, that is the case. However, I don't know how it is now, because I kind of got a nebulous response. I pre-ordered a bunch of them, but I don't want to wait for them to hold on to 10 records until the end of the year and ship them all. I want them every couple of months.
Yeah,
even though I realize I have.
Now you're talking to a European in German, and this is so terrible.
Yeah.
Because if I can't order 2 records, because if I order 2 records, I have the 2 records and $60 shipment.
Yeah, well, you have to try. Yeah, you're in a different situation than we are here. Yeah, it is.
Europe, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And for example, if you buy a mobile Fidelity Sound Lab here in Europe, it's 75 euros maybe. This is around $90.
Well, I just happen to have these Mofis. Let's talk about this too, because all of a sudden, I mean, Mofis never sold out like they do now. Of course, this wasn't a unique situation, because like the One Steps, all of a sudden Mofi decides they're going to do this secret super vinyl. I mean, it's not vinyl, it's super vinyl. And I missed the regular version Mofi of Desire when it came out. And then literally it's luck and timing. I use Instagram a lot, and I'm looking at the Mofi thing, and it says now available super vinyl, 1,000 copies in the fucking universe, 1,000 copies. I ordered it, and literally, within minutes it sold out, and it wasn't cheap. It was like $70 or something, maybe 79 or something. It's an incredible record. This, to me, the original of this never sounded great. And I have original Got Right when it came out, but I like this record. It sounds much better. This record keeps coming. And sometimes if you look at the Mofi site, there's almost like 80% of the records they have listed there say sold out. Some say sold out, some say just unavailable, which means they're going to be repressed. I don't know if you have there the Run DMC.
I have it there, but it was a hustle to get it, and they, like always, they did a great job.
I didn't get it. I couldn't find it, and I don't know if they can press anymore. It says it's sold out, so they're not going to press anymore.
I think they say strictly limited to 3,000. And
I'm surprised they don't get a relicense for it. But then you get people bitching. I bought it because it's only going to be 3,000. I don't care if people get it fucked. I don't think you should buy a record because it's limited.
Yeah, exactly. But again, now we're talking about 3,000. Compare 3,000 copies of Run DMC and compare it to 10,000 copies for $125 of Tapestry.
Yeah, I mean, I like Tapestry. It's a good record, but I wouldn't get that. And
but come on.
Yeah, I'm a little sick of some of the represses they're doing in that case. That's why it is refreshing, all these jazz records that have been coming out. And the irony is, I mean, as much as everyone likes the Tone Poet, the Tone Poet records have not been the A-list records really, except for a few titles. They're not, because Joe Harley, I guess, didn't want to compete with his former company MMJ for now, because I think a lot of people would love to see those Music Matters jazz records all as tone poets, but.
And you know that's what Blue Note did very, very good. They bought the success of Blue Note with that person. And I think that Kraft should have done something similar. They should have get knowledge, human resources inside the company so that they do it right. And they haven't done that yet.
Because Kraft does, you know, I'm a fan of Kraft. And I don't think, I know they want to be all kind of hoity-toity and let's do a limited this thing, but personally, I mean, I think it got them press. I don't think it's necessary because I really like the Chet Baker box they put out, and now the individual Chet Baker records, those 4 records. Of course, the box had 1 extra exclusive because you buy a box, and I get that. I'm totally cool with that. And it's sold out, and I think now they finally pressed the individuals. It took longer than anticipated, but they're beautiful covers. They're beautiful pressings. They're what, $30 or whatever, 25 to 35, like the Tone Poets. And a lot of the rock and roll records are really great. I mean, that record I showed earlier, my only disappointment with, I have a pile of records here, and of course, you know, this is the Vinyl Me Please, 750 copies. I'm number 300 now.
Nothing. That's nothing.
It's nothing, but this was a $25 record or something. Beautiful pressing. It sounds awesome. So before I ship you your $100 version of this record, I'm going to listen to them both, and I'll be careful. I won't put fingerprints on them. But my only problem with
don't write your name on the jacket. Please.
I'm going to. It's going to say Maslov. It's going to be Maslov number 0001, Dankeschön.
Okay, on the other hand, do that.
But look at this. This is the worst cover, which is unusual for Kraft.
Totally.
I mean, this is no, this isn't Kraft. I'm sorry, Vinyl Me Please. If you look at those Vinyl Me Please records by like Fiona Apple, they're beautiful covers. What the fuck? I mean, did they not realize, you know,
I don't know.
Up their game a little bit. So this is my only disappointment with this one, but it sounds great, and it's, to me, ultimately about the sound of the record.
Yeah, but Mezzi, you're the Nestor of the VC in a way.
I'm the what?
Nestor. You don't know Nestor from okay, maybe it's a European thing. The Godfather.
I'm not the Godfather, that's for sure.
Explain me something. How is that possible? We're talking. Look, this 2 releases. This is Analog Production Prestige mono series. Same on the stereo series. We're talking about 2014, 15, 16, I think, and we are talking about, I'm not 100% sure, but quite sure, 1,000 copies per edition. It took them years to sell them, years. We're talking about, I think, when they came out, $30 or $33. 3 years later or 4 years later, same label in a way, Love Supreme. Far, I'm 100% sure, far over 10,000 copies on the first run. 5 weeks, all gone. What happened?
Well, there is a big, I mean, you and I feel it being here in the vinyl community and on YouTube, and just look at the comments, and I don't know how many comments I get for all of a sudden there people are thirsting for music, and a lot of people are home, especially this last year. People had not everyone, a lot of people are hurting, and I understand people don't have a lot of money, but a lot of people have a lot of money, and they're not traveling, they're not going out to dinner, they're not doing all the things they were spending that money on. So they might be upgrading their stereo. I mean, the record sales were bigger last year than any year in the last few years, huge. And the labels couldn't keep up. And of course, and then they shut down for 2 to 3 months in some cases. It's been really different. But every time I do a showcase, whether it's an artist, a label, or I just did I do some CD stuff. Obviously, I don't mind CDs. And I just did a a little 10 CDs that are from the CD era, just random CDs with some needle drops, or I should say some laser drops. And I played those, and there's 2 or 3 artists that a lot of people didn't know about, and they said, oh, I'm going to go check that out. And I mean, people are buying stuff because we introduce them. If they trust you, if they trust me, if they don't like us, they're not going to listen to us. But after a while, those of people who do watch us kind of get an idea of our taste and where we're coming from, and they can cut between what's bullshit, and we're not like shilling and selling these records for Chad or for Blue Note or for Universal or even some indie level. We love this music and we like these records.
But Messi, maybe that's the beautiful side of it in a way. But maybe there is a darker side. You know,
cash grab.
You buy a record for, let's say, $50, put it on Discogs, look 6 weeks later, and it's over $100.
Yeah,
that feels good in a way too. And then there's the next chance. Don't underestimate this factor. I think that you buy something and you have something that other people want to have and can't get it anymore, or they have to put up much more money than you did. This is also a factor, I think.
Of course it is. And yes, but it's funny because, you know, sometimes there'll be this scenario, which is very common. They'll put out a record, a numbered edition of 1,000 copies or 1,500 copies. A good example, Record Store Day. I know you don't really jump in on that. Okay, fair enough. At least they announced that it's either Record Store Day a first edition, or a Record Store Day exclusive. In theory. And that means if you run around and have to have it now, you get that numbered edition. But then 6 months later, a year later, you get another edition that's maybe a different color, maybe not colored at all, no numbers, and you can get it easily. You know, a Bangles record I got, the reunion record they did in the 2000s. I love that record. It's a fun pop, you know, power pop type of record. And it finally came. I missed it on Record Store Day, and it was going for $80, $100, whatever it was. And of course, now you can get it, you know, for $25, $30, whatever it is. And a lot of things happen like that. But I've noticed some of the Record Store Day stuff that was limited, all of a sudden, a year and a half, 2 years later, you can buy it. It's not numbered. It's just a different edition. And you have, if you're patient, you know, ultimately, to me, again, it's about the music. I don't buy these things for the collector value. And I've only sort of flipped that one McCartney record I told you about because it was just
that was too tempting to not flip it.
$2,600 for a $60 record. I just thought, you know, I have six other colors of that record. Do I need it? And I didn't buy it for that. And I would never have done that in a million years. I thought, you know, Jesus Christ, look at all these jazz records I can buy instead.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is hard. I mean, I think one thing that you show a lot, and you should talk about numbers too more. But I want to mention one other label who I really like. I think is doing a spectacular job. And you can talk about some of the European labels, but Sam Records. You know, first of all, Sam Records, the one guy, Tipped on Jackets, one guy out of France. These records sell for about $35, give or take.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, there's only a few places. Acoustic Sounds or Music Direct has them sometimes. The In Groove guy down in Phoenix gets them when he can. I order them usually directly from France. Now, if I'm ordered 5 or 6 records, it gets expensive. It gets expensive when you're maybe $40 to $45 a record because I'm for the shipping, but I get them in a week. I'm getting these faster than I'm getting record from Chicago that's been sitting in a circle for 3 weeks.
And I think we should support him because what he does is outstanding.
But let me tell people about this. What's great about these, they're tipped on jackets, they're beautifully pressed, analog record, beautiful covers from negatives, but it's unusual music. I always talk about how I worked in the record business, record stores in the 70s. I never saw any of these records, and most of these records came out in the late 50s, only in France and only in Europe. And I had never even saw them as European, I mean, as imports. I just never saw them. I didn't know they existed. And what most of these recordings are, they're not the same old records we all know. Some of the same artists, Bobby Jaspar, great flautist. This is amazing. John Lewis and Sako Distel.
You have shown the Chet Bakers. They are also all fantastic.
Yeah, these are when the expatriates, these Americans, were hanging out in Paris because, frankly, America didn't give a shit about these artists, and with racism and all the crap going on with the African-American jazz artists especially, they got, the French especially were more into this music. This is a 70s, more of a little different Billy Harper live recording. But these records are very reasonable, great music, beautiful sounding, and I highly suggest these. And they're not limited as far as I know.
Yeah.
They go out of print, but if you wait 6 months.
He does it. He does something no other label, to my knowledge, does it in that perfect manner. He puts out usually 1,000 as the first pressing. And then after some time, they are all pressed over at Palace, by the way. And after some time, he makes a second pressing. But you find that on the cover. It's a second pressing. So your first pressing, in a way, keeps its value because it's the first pressing. But come on, the second pressing isn't that bad after 1,000 copies. So, but that's perfect what he does. It's great. He does everything right from A to Z.
Yeah. Beautiful cover, beautiful music. These are the instrumental ones. These aren't the vocal Chet Baker period, but it's amazing stuff. I can't. These are the most pleasing. I'm not pissed off because I have to scramble for them. You know, I missed 2 of these.
There's a new edition out. Have you seen it?
A new Chet Baker?
No. Over at Sam Records last week, there is Jazz sur Scène. It's a new one. And one of the very, very, very first pressings from Sam is now available again.
Well, I can't remember now what I ordered. I actually have 2 that are on the way from Phoenix, from Ingrooves. Because he like will order a bunch of, he's one of the few vendors, and whatever you say about him, every Thursday morning you
said nothing.
Every Thursday morning you see new stuff. He's really an audiophile. His website is online. Instagram is easy to maneuver and to buy stuff. You know, stuff sells out fast because, you know, he kind of, you know, raves about certain labels. But these people aren't, excuse the expression, dicking us around. They're not screwing with us. They're not fucking with us. They're not, oh, you don't know about it. Go to their site. You can pre-order from their site. If you want 4 or 5 of these records at a time, it's almost best to order.
Same as with the new Joni Mitchell box set. Have you seen it? The limited box set from Joni Mitchell?
I did see it, and I'm not buying it because I have beautiful original pressings. Yeah. That's a Rhino.
This is also something I would always order from the artist's website. Support the artist.
Absolutely. And Bandcamp and things like that. So, you know, talk about more about if you know about these editions and limited editions, what's coming out, and what are we in for the future and all this stuff? Because people are frustrated.
If you're totally insane, go for the new Electric Recording Company box set. 7 Gatefold Mozart audiophile remasters. I think it's only, if I'm not mistaken, only $4,500, 150 copies. But okay, down to earth now. Yeah, Acoustic Sound series, of course, gorgeous. I love the new announcement what they did with the Tone Poets. You probably all know. The classic series, interesting topic. And I expected more from the classic series.
I haven't bought those because I have those on Music Matters. So I don't need other copies.
Yeah, no,
I think there was 1 or 2 I bought. I forgot which one.
You don't need them. In general, we will see only very few 45 RPM editions, I'm afraid. I know you like it, but again, why? Why do we see 33 1/3? Just one reason: you only have to press 1 record. Pressing capacities. So that's the reason why we see a lot of 33 1/3.
And then about, of course, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Well, you know, the Tone Poets, and now these acoustic sounds. They're all these gatefolds. That's kind of it's the thing now. They're mimicking Music Matters Jazz. I personally, as much as I love them, I don't think we need them. And in a way, now I could be suspicious, especially in the Tone Poet series. It's a way to license and give Michael Kaskuna, who owns the rights to all that photo library of the great Francis Wolff photographs that are included, outtakes and session. Now, I love them. It's great to have them. But they could save time and money. They could save a few dollars not having them gatefolds. Just recreate the original record, screw the gatefolds, like these, like the Chet Baker Craft records. To me,
don't change an ongoing series, please.
Yeah, no.
Don't change.
Well, they've done a few like that. Gil Evans was a single.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're right.
What else? There was like 2 or 3 that were not. I think one of the Herbie Hancocks wasn't a gatefold.
This would be the perfect compromise when it comes to the classic series. Do them like the Tone Poets, but as single jackets. This would have been maybe a perfect compromise. But,
well, see, that's what Craft should do. After all this stuff, okay, there's always going to be a group of people that want $100 record in a slipcase. I don't need this slipcase, Give me this. How much less would this be? If I didn't have this? $50? I don't know. You can do it for $35.
Matthew, careful, Matthew.
It's a single thing.
The vinyl, this one step, super, call it whatever you like, SRX vinyl. And this vinyl is from the beginning 5 times more expensive than regular vinyl.
Well, then press this record as regular vinyl, all analog, nice jacket, $35.
Yeah, but so let me finish because you interrupted me so rudely. My highest hopes, and I really have high hopes when it comes, and this is a gut feeling, to this UHQR series from Analog Productions. They did the 2 Jimi Hendrix, they did the Jethro Tull Aqualung, and now the upcoming Kind of Blue, which will be outstanding, I'm quite sure. And this may be the project of the future, because this decarbonized vinyl, the packaging, well, I love this UHQR. I hope that we will see a lot of these titles and releases. This is my highest hopes right now.
Are they all 45s? They're all 45 RPM, right?
No.
They're not?
No.
Is Kind of Blue 45 or 33 or both?
First round will be 33 and a third.
That's what I would get.
They announced both, but I think we will see the 33 and a third.
But they're not for sale yet, right?
No.
Do you know what kind of quantities they're doing?
No, but if they don't do more than 15,000, I hope they are doing more than 15 or 20,000, because otherwise it will be
a shit
riots over in the United States. Will you get one?
That one I would probably get. I don't need a Tapestry. I don't need an Aqualung, as much as I like it. The Jimi Hendrix ones, I like it, but I don't, I didn't need, that was the second album, right? They did, Axis, Bold as Love. I don't need those usually. I think I would.
From the Hendrix, they did in mono and in stereo.
Yeah, I have the Mofi Kind of Blue, which some people love and some people don't like it. I've read,
what the main difference is between those two?
Isn't it a better tape?
Exactly. These are 3-channel whatever Bernie Grundman remasters from 1994, and this is quite something very, very special. And my gut, my stomach tells me this will blow the Mofi out of the water, but we'll see.
See. Well, the Mofi is 45 anyway, so I would keep that and get the 33. I mean, I don't even have an original. I have a 70s pressing, which is fine, but I'm sure this will blow it away.
Yeah. So that's my highest hope for the future.
Okay.
The UHQRs. And you, what do you think what we will see, and what do you hope for?
I don't have any big wishes for audiophile. I was trying to think about this. There's certain records that I enjoy. I have a lot of music. Those of you who watch my channel know and I'm into a lot of different genres. Um, a lot of people, it ain't going to happen, but a lot of people want audiophile stereo Beatle records. I have originals and but I would love to see what they would do now with those tapes, but ain't going to get out unless, and I'm not a fan of what Abbey Road does.
Nowadays, when we did our first collaboration videos almost a year ago, I would never have thought that I would say, I think we will see even a Led Zeppelin remaster on Audiophile. I think it's possible now.
Those seem more likely to me than the Beatles. I don't want Abbey Road. I'm not a fan of the Abbey Road half-speed crap.
No,
and I don't want, and Abbey Road is like the family. It's like, keep the Beatles shit in the family. I want someone out of the family to do those. And I don't
let the electric recording company do the remaster.
Oh, that would be $5,000. That would be $5,000.
No. Just the remaster. And then they do 300 on there for their customers and the rest. That would be.
You better order me one.
Yeah, I will.
Because people know who watch my channel. I do have the Mofi Beatle box that came out in the 80s, and it's terrible. Wrong tapes, overbloated. It's not very good.
But what is it with this blue box set? I did that video with the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, blah blah blah, and a lot of comments wrote that they have this blue remaster box set from the Beatles, and this is great.
Well, okay, there's no remastered blue box. What there is in the 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, first there was an edition of the blue box that was numbered. I think there were 1,000 copies. And because remember, in America during that time, before the CD era, the Beatle records had different configurations than the UK ones until Sgt. Pepper. You could buy imports. You could go to like Tower Records with import section. You could buy the import records. Late 79, I think, in early 80 up to 82 and maybe 80 beyond a little bit. They put out this blue box, and it was all the UK stereo records, and they're all analog. They weren't remastered. They're just, they were in print in the UK. So some people, I think there's a misnomer. Some people think these records weren't pressed specifically to put in this blue box. So basically whatever records they were pressing at the time, which were good, were in the blue box. So theoretically you go through the blue box and it could be different matrix. One could be pressed in 79, maybe one's in 70, whatever was left on the shelf. I'm simplifying, that was it. But then it became popular, and they did versions into 81, 82, unnumbered, and have those. And they're basically just really good UK pressings. Now, if you really compare them maybe to this, to that, I have several of these boxes, and they also did a very limited mono set. They reissued the monos in the 80s. And I think it was in a red box or a black box. There's two different ones. I don't have the box, but I have all the individual mono records of those. And I think mine might even be, they never sealed records in the UK, but they're loose shrink wrap, the loose type of thing. Do you have?
Beatles, damn it, Messi.
Well, you brought that up, so I want people to know. I suggest, you can get those now in the States for like $300 to $400 or something.
Okay.
And, obviously if they remastered them now, they would probably change the EQ or change them a little bit, because like when we listen to jazz albums or Led Zeppelin albums on the classic series, you hear more. You hear we can bring out the bass and everything. You don't want to over bass it or make them bloated. Like I like the new John Lennon Plastic Ono Band remaster. It's not an audiophile record. I heard some people think it's too bass bloated. I don't see that, but I think the Blu-ray of that sounds really good, and the outtakes. But we're talking about that here. Anything else? I think that's about it.
So, I'm through with you.
All right. We're going to put links below to both our channels. Depending on where you watch, you should subscribe to the other person's channel.
Come on, we do
Mazzy-
it. Let's
Mazzy-
do it for the cover. Come on, we do it. Let's take the jetpack cover. The record we promised we would never show again.
Oh, I'm not going to do that one.
Oh, come on.
Oh, you want me to do that one? Okay.
Yeah, please. Let's do both the jetpack.
I don't know where it is. I think I just sold it. I think I just sold it for $1,000 or something.
At least I bought it. There it is.
Take it out of the plastic. Oh, you can't take yours out of that plastic. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next
Thank you for your
time.
time. See you.
Okay. Before we close out here, go subscribe to Michael in Germany.
No, don't do that. No.
And subscribe to me too. Subscribe to both of us because this is your best entertainment value. Mazzy and Michael love you.